Hi, I'm Matt, the etrailer. Today we'll be talking about the Benton Shifts&Grins bike rack on the back of our 2022 Nissan Armada. Now, this can be a great option if you plan on going with your family, do those bike rides, because this is going to give you plenty of spots to put those bikes on here, and it's going to have a pretty decent weight capacity. So let's check it out. Now, something that is really unique to this rack is, yes, it is pretty large, but we can take off these front or these back two trays if we need something a little bit more compact, or we just want it to be a little bit easier to take off the back of our vehicle. But mainly, we're mainly going to be focusing on how it interacts with the Nissan today. So back here, you'll notice we have plenty of space to stand. We don't have to worry about this bouncing around and making contact with the vehicle. But we're not going to have enough room to open up our hatch. To do that, I'll have to come to the back end. And what I recommend doing is grabbing onto this handle, pressing this button. We grab onto the handle just to make this process a little bit easier to lower. And on flat ground like we have today, this is actually making contact with the ground, which is really impressive with it having a weight capacity of 55 pounds per bike. And that's for a 4-bike carrier, so most 4-bike carriers don't have that capacity. This is really impressive, and this will give me the opportunity to take a seat, tie my shoes, get ready for my ride, grab my helmet, or throw in some groceries if I need to. And then when we're ready, we can just put this back down and lift up our rack. Now, I will say this will be a little bit heavy, especially if you have this fully loaded up with some lighter e-bikes. But if that's the case, you can have a friend help you out to lift it up. But if we want to take a closer look at the rack, we'll have to remove our bike first. So, to do that, I'm going to remove the strap on each tire and tuck that away and move over to the other side because we're going to have a strap that's pulling it down from either side, which I think gives it a really good hold. But what's really holding it down completely is going to be the front ratcheting hook right here. This is right now is making contact with your tire. So if you have a carbon frame bike, it's great for that. But if you have fenders, all you have to do is move this up and we can actually connect it to the frame instead. So we'll lower that down and now we can pick it up. And this can be a little bit awkward since this rack takes up a lot of space. So if it is a heavier bike, you might want to grab a friend to help you out when you're lifting it up. But just like that, we have it off and we can take it out for a ride. Now let's get a couple measurements. The first one I'm going to get is going to be the ground clearance. So we're going to go to the furthest point out back here, and that's going to be a little bit under 25 inches. So even with this being really far back, 25 inches is a lot of space between the ground and your bikes. But when this is fully loaded down, that's going to put some weight down. It might drop a couple more inches. So definitely keep an eye out for those really low or high ground clearance areas. So I'm talking about anywhere like a driveway or a steep uphill. Now for the total distance this is going to be sitting away, like I said, this is a pretty large rack. And this is going to be sitting a little bit under 58 inches. So in a tight spot like a parking spot or garage, definitely watch out for this. We can save some space by either taking off one section of this, the back half, or we could fold it up. What you got to do is press that button and push up. And now it is only going to be sitting just about a little bit over 20 inches. But with it in this spot or position, it's going to block a few more things. So our license plate, our backup camera, our back window, and a little bit of our taillights are going to be obstructed. Of course, you still can see through a couple sections of this. And luckily, these railings are pretty thin, so you will be able to see the majority of your taillights. And the way this is going to install is we're going to have a 2-inch shank. This is going to go into your 2-inch hitch receiver. Now typically this would be a little bit easier to line up since we do have this alignment collar on here. But that alignment collar just falls a little bit short. So it might be able to help you initially get it on if you have in this spot here, but you'll still have to line it up yourself. And I recommend having a friend since this is a little bit larger. And then we're going to have an anti-rattle bolt that goes through and connects to a nut on the other side to keep it together and prevent it from shaking around when you're driving down those bumpy roads. Now, in my opinion, I think this is going to be a solid choice because it's going to be great for a family, especially if all of you guys ride together. Now, if you're a little bit concerned for the size and the heaviness of it, then another one I'd recommend is going to be the Benton Shift Show. The Benton Shift Show is going to be a lot smaller. You can probably pick it up with one hand, and it's going to be a hanging style bike rack. So typically those are going to be more affordable, but they're not going to have as high as a weight capacity as something like this. So it really just depends on what type of bikes you have. If you have larger and heavier bikes, this is going to be the option. If you have lighter, smaller bikes, I'd go with the Shift Show. But of course, if you guys have any other questions, let us know here at eTrailer. And again, I'm Matt, and thanks for watching.